You're listening to the Front Yard Mission podcast. Front Yard Mission is a love God, love neighbor movement in our world. Jesus took the 613 commandments in the Old Testament and boiled them down to just two, to love God and love neighbor.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Front Yard Mission podcast. I'm Steve Lutz.
And I am Jonathan Weibel.
Jonathan, we have a very special guest today. Old friend, church planter, pastor, entrepreneur, marketing guru, husband and father.
Yes, Mr. Timothy Schutz.
Thank you for the intro, you guys.
Yeah.
It's great to be here.
Great to have you on, Tim. And we had a great time up there with, you are a church planter in Manhattan, in New York City. And we had the great privilege of spending a one-day event with you and your launch team a couple weeks ago, and which was really fun to take, the Front Yard Mission thing up into your context. And so among the many things we want to talk to you about, we're looking forward to hearing about how, Front Yard Mission is translating to what you're doing in New York City and all that good stuff. And in addition, we just like hanging out with you, Tim. So thanks for coming on today.
No, it's a ton of fun. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, Tim, why don't you give us a quick little bio, how you came to faith story, and everything we need. Go for it.
Yeah, sure thing. Well, Jonathan, you and I met when I was pretty much a brand new Christian. I was 15 years old. And Jonathan came to State College to be my youth pastor. And that's a whole story and saga in and of itself. But I had grown up in a Christian home. So I grew up in the State College, Pennsylvania area. My dad was a retired professional bowler. And I was a bit of a piano prodigy as a kid. So I spent most of my childhood playing the piano and hanging out in bowling alleys. But I grew up, I grew up believing in God. But I really, my sin story, my struggle story is my family dynamics. My dad would get angry. My mom and my sister would withdraw, and I'd hang with him and calm him down, and then kind of go encourage the rest of my family and peacemake. And that dynamic, I've come to learn, it's kind of like an elbow joint, like a pipe, has an elbow joint where the joint kind of takes everything that's coming at it and redirects it in a positive direction. And that's kind of a metaphor of my role in my family growing up as a kid. I would kind of, but the thing is about those elbow joints is right there at the joint is where all the pressure is. And so that was my dysfunction, is I just kind of took care of everyone else. But I had a ton of pressure. And who was going to take care of me? That was the big question, I think, in my heart, that I didn't even know I was asking. I just thought I'd take care of me too. And so I had all that pressure. And then in 6th grade, I lost my grandmother, and then my mom went into a depression. And I was just feeling anxious and depressed all the time as a 7th and 8th grader. And those years were pretty dark. And then 9th grade, I attended this youth group event called Acquire the Fire with Ron Luce and Teen Mania and all that. And I heard the gospel again, but this time the news struck me. God loved me and wanted to take care of me. Like, he wanted to be the elbow joint, so to speak. I was struggling. I could no longer hold up under all the pressure and the weight, not only of other people's expectations, but of my own sin and struggles. I always believed in God, but that was the first time I surrendered my life to Christ. And I immediately felt a heavy burden lifted off of me. And I know everyone's story is a little different. Conversion, there's not always but I just immediately felt set free from depression and anxiety and full of joy and hope in my life. And so that really set me on a path toward, ultimately ministry. I had at my heart that more people needed this. Like, what happened to me had to be given to other people. And so that was kind of how I started out in 9th grade and on a new trajectory.
Love that, Tim. I have never heard someone's gospel story compared to an elbow joint, but I love it. It's a great metaphor, great picture.
Yeah. And we've never heard anyone's story who's dad was a professional bowler. Like, and he was a good one. Like, he won a major. He won the Showboat
1979 Showboat Invitational.
Yeah, that was
yes. You can look him up. Emmett Shoots on YouTube. It's a fun one.
Yeah.
Amazing. Professional bowler. Who knew?
Yeah. And your mom was a bowler too. She's got several 300. She bowled at Penn State. So yeah, interesting.
Yeah, they met over bowling. So
that is great. Tim, one thing I like about your story, I mean, you grew up in a Christian home. You'd heard the gospel. Probably in some sense, you did believe it, but it became good news to you at that moment. And I think that awakening is one of the things that we want to see happen in people's lives through Front Yard Mission. Maybe they've heard the good news, but they haven't yet experienced it as good news for them. And I love how that comes out in your story. Thanks for sharing that.
Yeah, thank you.
Tim, give us a little bit about what you're doing now, and you're in Manhattan right now, but kind of what got you there. I know you were a church planter with me back in 2003. We planted a church together, but kind of what happened after that?
So I was there for 9 years, started the Penns Valley Youth Center with a lot of help from the church there. That's, I think, still going on, doing great ministry out in Penns Valley. And some friends of mine planted a church in Philly. And Steve, you had a big hand in training them and sending them. A group of Penn State students.
I don't know about a big hand, but I was an advisor
you had a hand
to
in
Matt
that
early on. Yeah.
Yeah. And they, in 2012, planted City Light Church in Manayunk in Northwest Philadelphia. And in 2013, at the first anniversary, I joined the church. The Lord called me to Philly, where I served for 11 and a half years as the executive pastor. We planted for several churches in the Philly area, one in Amarillo, Texas, and then in 2019, we had a Texan come and want to go back and replant his dad's Assembly of God church, and kind of replant it as a gospel centered church, and just he did 4 years with us, and we sent him out and he planted there in Amarillo. It was a pretty amazing story. But yeah, so then in 2019, God just started, I don't know what you call that, I don't know, it's almost like a little annoying thought that maybe I'm intended to church plant. Maybe I should church plant. It just gets louder and louder. It doesn't go away. But I had this internal desire growing to step out and plant a church. And eventually our church came around, Sarah and I, and affirmed that desire. And City Light ended up sending us up here to Manhattan to plant the 5th City Light Church here in the kind of central borough of the largest city in the United States. So that's where we're at right now.
So Upper West Side, because I know geography and specific location in Manhattan matters. So tell the people where exactly you are.
Yeah, so we've landed on a kind of northern part of the Upper West Side, just a few blocks away from Columbia University. And we really love this area. Felt like this was an area we could really root our family. And so there's 15 people with the church plant right now. And we're starting to do house church gatherings in my living room, and really focusing on being missionaries and trying to live into our missionary identity, living sent right where we are. We have half of our core team moved up here with Sarah and I from Philadelphia, and the other half we're here in New York already, and trying to embrace that wherever we are, we're sent there. And so just seeing a church form in the last 5 months has been wild. And it's all been the work of the Lord. We've been really grateful for the past 5 months up here. But
Yeah, so Tim, we just were there a couple weeks ago, and it was super eye-opening for me personally, and because I think this was my 3rd time to the big city, the city that never sleeps, and yeah, like I was just kind of amazed in being there, and we did a 1-day event there with you, and what was that like? Kind of talk about that a little bit. We got your launch team together and we spent a day with y'all, and tell us like a couple of your big takeaways from that meeting that we had, and that way people who are listening who might be interested in bringing this in, what's it like?
Yeah. Well, the first exposure our core team had to Jonathan was at a comedy club here in Manhattan at an open mic night. I kind of gave a disclaimer to our team and the kind of content they might expect from the non-Jonathan comedians.
Thank you for saying that, Tim. Thank you for saying that. I was like, okay.
We got to have a ton of fun together on a Friday night in New York and meet some real New Yorkers and have kind of a cultural experience together. And that was I think that was a very meaningful first experience for our team, just relationally. Yeah.
It was like a little seedy room, like kind of this hidden door, a speakeasy.
Yeah, they call it speakeasy. Yeah.
It was weird.
Yeah, you don't know it's a comedy club till you're in there. You're like, oh, there it is. Yeah. Yeah, so it's a real cool spot, and got to hear some very average comedy. Jonathan did a really good job, but it's so open mic. But we then that Saturday was the one-day event with our team, and our whole team came, and it was awesome. We just hung out, had some pastries from a Hungarian pastry shop up here, and just dug into God's word together and encouraged one another. And I think our team had a lot of takeaways from that event, but it was a real unifying event for us, and helps us feel not alone to have other people come up with us when there's only 15 of us and sit with us for a whole morning and train us. So it was a pretty cool experience.
Right. One of the guys that just kind of stuck out when we did the training was, and forgive me if I mess his name, Rogelio.
That's right.
Is that right?
Yeah, Rogelio. Yeah.
And he's from,
dude.
Where's he from?
He's from Venezuela.
So he's like
Venezuelan
a doctor,
American.
right? He's a doctor.
Yep. Yeah, he's a resident, third-year resident right now at Harlem Hospital.
But he approached Steve and I after, and he's obviously a Spanish speaker, and he wants to take our content and translate it into Spanish and start speaking on it at Spanish-speaking churches, which was that was such a blessing to us.
Yeah, and you should take him up on that. He's a godly guy, and he's a good speaker. Yeah, he was incredibly impacted by the event. I think it's kind of almost a calling shaping kind of event for him. Yeah.
So when we talk about Front Yard Mission, we talk about the idea that we are trying to be missionaries, helping people be missionaries on their street, see their street as a mission field, their workplace is sacred, and the commonalities with others as the front door of the church. So some of the stumbling blocks that people have is, well, I don't have a front yard, front yard mission, I don't have a front yard, but it's really more metaphorical, kind of moving into the visibility of the front yard versus the backyard, it's more metaphorical. But Tim, how does that translate how does front yard mission, loving God and loving neighbor, translate in your context?
Yeah, I mean, I think incredibly well. And that's one of the big tests of front yard mission. Is it ubiquitous? I think it's possible that it even works better in an urban area because there's more people here. You can't help but bump into people every single day. Now most of the time you're on your way somewhere, they're on their way somewhere, and so they seem so busy that how could you ever have a conversation? But in New York, when you're sitting down at a coffee shop and someone's next to you, they're likely to strike up a conversation with you. So it's a little bit of a misnomer that just because most of the time you see people, they're in such a hurry, you don't even make eye contact hardly. But no, it's incredibly relevant here. The sociology of the city is something that is just a dynamic you only experience when you live here. But your front yard is, our whole life, I say, is like 3 blocks within a 3-block radius of our house. Our dog groomer, our veterinarian, our doctor, our dentist, everywhere that we shop, all our favorite restaurants, it's all within 3 blocks of our house. And when we walk our dog down to the park, we see the same people who have lived here for 12, 13 years, 14 years, and so there is an unbelievable neighborhood feel, even within a city like Manhattan that's so transient.
One thing I enjoyed hearing from your launch team was, the places where they're regulars, so the cafe, the bar, the restaurant, the park, the places where they go, and how often you run into people there. And the whole point of if Front Yard Mission is loving the people that God puts in your path, who are the people God puts in your path? And so that was a really fun reflection with your team, thinking about, okay, who are those people that God puts in our path on an everyday basis?
Yeah. Yeah. People have, I mean, work, I think work in a lot of ways has become like the workplace has become kind of the modern village, like where people are meeting their, just everyone's got their role, everyone's got their purpose, and the neighborhood feel in these urban areas, while very real, the transience makes it challenging for people, but their workplace is another village that they have. And then just their affinities, we have artists, we have people that enjoy jazz and go to jazz clubs. We have people that like board games and hang out at board game cafes. And so just those affinities bring them together with others that they immediately have a bond with and can start building relationships.
You spend most of your life at work, but what if your job was more than just a paycheck? What if it was a platform to make Jesus known? At the Stone Table, we are passionate about the Great Commission and believe business is a powerful tool for advancing the gospel. Your skills, your career, and your daily grind matter to God. But beyond that, He's called you to something bigger, to be a witness for Him in the marketplace and to the nations. We equip believers to integrate faith and work, as well as inspire marketplace believers to leverage business as a tool to fuel global missions. Why? Because marketplace tools are missional tools. Want to learn more? Visit thestonetable.org/start and follow The Stone Table on social media. Together, let's make Jesus known at work and around the world. The Front Yard Mission podcast is sponsored by The Flower Box. The Flower Box is one of the top online resources for cookie decorating supplies, monthly cookie classes, and oodles of free video tutorials. Flowerbox.com features an extensive line of creative cookie cutters, cookie stencils, and cookie decorating kits. Plus, find the book, The Crafted Cookie, a beginner's guide to baking and decorating cookies. The Flowerbox team is passionate about helping home bakers find joy and purpose through cookies. The Flowerbox is based in Center Hall, Pennsylvania, and online at flowerbox.com. That's FLOURBOX.com. The Flowerbox is honored to support Front Yard Mission.
You are an exceptional, piano player. Like, you are a prodigy and got your degree in applied piano or piano performance. But like in your small group, you're like the third best piano player.
Yeah, and significantly beneath the other two. Yeah, there's just the level. There are just people that are you will bump into New York, like just they seem really like a normal person, and then you talk to them, they're just unbelievably exceptional at whatever they do. And so we have two just unbelievable piano players in our core team already, including Orlando, who's just
Orlando's sick. I was
stellar.
telling on the ride home, Steve and I were talking. I'm like, Steve, we may have just seen the best piano player we will ever see in our lives.
Yeah, he's pretty awesome.
And that's New York too, right? I mean, people come from all over the world, and it's world class everywhere you go, and yet it's normal people with normal issues as well, right?
Yeah. That's the thing is like human beings, and that's what you're talking about is how to love other human beings,
right? And
God made every human in His image, and with the same longings and the same needs and the same fundamental drives. And drop human beings into Manhattan, they behave a little differently than if you drop them into a rural area in central Pennsylvania. But they have the same longings and the same desires, and so a lot of that is just training people how to be human and how to see other people as humans in such a dehumanizing environment where you're just constantly having to walk past people in suffering and so seeing people as humans and learning how to have human to human interactions is such an important training now, and people don't grow up learning that anymore. Their whole life is about their pursuits, their careers, their studies, and they don't necessarily grow up learning how to have a relationship with somebody.
Yeah.
Very true.
Tim, in Manhattan, where are you and Sarah, your family and your girls, personally seeing some Front Yard Mission traction where you're able to love your neighbor? Where are you seeing? I can think of a couple,
Yeah.
but you share.
So the metaphor I think of is we started praying immediately that God would bring divine appointments into our lives, and I believe if you read the scriptures that divine appointments are real. Like you look at just all you read the book of Acts and just how many times people bumped into somebody, and even the Lord and how his ministry was when he lived on earth. I started praying immediately. So the metaphor is initially it's like, when you're in a city, you might be able to see one or two stars if you look up at the sky. Like it's the brightest ones.
Yeah.
All right. And so initially it was like I would see just the brightest, the most obvious opportunities that were right in front of my face. Like I'm at a coffee shop and I have my Bible open and a Jewish guy next to me asks me why I'm reading the Hebrew scriptures. And there's like a real obvious opportunity to share my faith with this guy. And so that's like the North Star. That you can see that even when it's in the city. But what you start to learn is that there's a lot more stars that have been there all along and just haven't had eyes to see. And so the more you pray, it's like you start to see more of what God has put around you in every way.
I like
and
that
so,
picture. Yeah.
Yeah. That for me has been my experience coming to Manhattan. It's like initially it was the real obvious, and now I just every single day am seeing that there's opportunity right in front of me.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the things that while I was there that I saw you guys doing was like you and Sarah in particular, she goes to a Friday night event that's not thrown by you guys, it's thrown by someone else in the school that your girls go to.
Soup night.
Yeah, soup night. So tell us about that.
Yeah, I mean, this is just, it's just like the Lord that our best hospitality scenario where we have the opportunity every week to meet. We were just there last night with our family. And again, last night I got to share my faith with somebody and I'm going to get coffee with him soon. It's every single week. And it's this family at my daughter's school, their daughter became friends with my daughter. And every week, all they do is they just, every single Friday night from like 5:30 to 8:30, their home is open. They put on the same lentil soup every week, and they have drinks and people just bring little finger foods, and then you just bring your family. You can bring your family, your dog, or a guest. They said you can bring whoever you want. RSVP yes only by Thursday, and if don't be afraid to not come. Don't be afraid to not come because you forgot to RSVP. And then they just invite everyone in their life. They just add them to their email list. And every Wednesday you get the soup night email. It's just like soup is on this Friday, 5:30 to 8:30 RSVP. Same email every week, And so we show up and we bring our kids. The kids have a great time. It's super easy Friday night, free Friday night event for us to do. Mm-hmm. And every week we're meeting with people who don't know the Lord, who are very interesting people. Mm-hmm. And that's the other thing. It's like people are so interesting. Like just being curious about them, like and is such a powerful tool in evangelism. So even just last night I was talking to a guy. He's got his PhD in the classics, and he's starting a Latin. He has a nonprofit that promotes Latin in schools, and just the most interesting guy in the world. Like he's read the entire New Testament in Greek because he's but he's kind of he's coming back maybe to faith. He was a Buddhist for a while, and that wasn't like doing it for him. And then he kind of came. So, and I just have these kinds of conversations every time we go to soup night. Yeah. So I'd say the Lord kind of did our hospitality for us through somebody. I think they sense that they're doing the Lord's work, but they may not even know that they're doing the Lord's work.
Yeah, God raises up people, right? And influential to others, right? Like Lydia, the dealer in purple cloth, right?
Yep.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then you got these people who God is already stirring up, which is great stories. I love that, Tim. Mm-hmm. And let me ask you this. Okay, so sometimes when it comes to living on mission, that's at the beating heart of what brought you all to Manhattan. Tim, you got a young family. You got 3 young girls moving into the Upper West Side. Mm-hmm. I think a lot of people might have looked at that and said, "Yeah, you know what, Tim, that's okay, man. You don't have to do all that. That's a big thing to uproot your family and move into a much smaller apartment and some of the costs and sacrifices of that." So, talk to me about how you and Sarah have processed that, like the changes for your family in order to live on mission.
Yeah, I'm really glad you asked that question. I think it starts with God's call and seeing the city the way that Jesus sees the city. You know, when he looks at the city, when most people look at New York, what they see is one of two things. They either see this land of opportunity, this place where I can make it. If I can make it there, I can make it anywhere. Every desire of my heart, every desire of my career, every desire of my pursuits, I can find that in New York. I'll be able to meet the kind of people that can open the kind of doors for me that will make my career, will make my life, matter. Or they are disgusted by the city. Oh, I could never live there. I don't know how you could live there. And in really both cases, I think we can be helpfully encouraged by how the Lord Jesus saw the city. When he looked at the city, he saw all the people. Yeah. And people made in the image of God. I think Tim Keller used to point out that the way that we see space is so different from how God probably sees space. We think that the most beautiful places of the world are the woods and the grassy areas and the beaches. And but what God said was the crown jewel of his creation was people. Yeah. And so if we're going to imagine what God think is the most beautiful place on earth, is a place where there are the most people. And so Jesus looked at the city and he saw the people as helpless and harassed, like sheep without a shepherd. Yeah. And he had compassion. He was drawn. Then he said to his disciples, pray that God would send laborers into this harvest field. This harvest is ripe and ready for harvest. Yeah. Pray that the Lord would send. And so I think when you have a call like that from God, and you can start to cut through some of the noise, some of your own preconceived notions of what it's going to be like to live in a place. Yep. And just trust that, when it says in Philippians 4:19, my God will supply all your needs in Christ Jesus. That is a promise that we can hold on to wherever we live, wherever we choose to live. Yeah. We definitely had needs. Our kids needed to be able to find friends. They needed Christian community. We weren't sure how that was going to happen. But God opened doors for us to be in this great Christian school up here in the Upper West Side, and opened financial doors for us to be able to live here. And God has just rooted our family right away.
Even some friends downstairs, right?
Yeah. And we always say people makes a place. Yeah. The people make a place. And so we want it to be incredibly hard to leave wherever we are. So even if we know we're only going to be there for a few years, but we think we're going to be here till our kids graduate.
That's good,
awesome.
Tim. That's so good. Love that. Tim, where is kind of like some obstacles to Front Yard Mission in New York that maybe other people in larger cities might experience?
Yeah, I mean, transients. Sarah and I have been involved in transient areas for a while. Manhattan is the most transient of the five boroughs of New York City, and so people they have to almost adjust, especially young people. This can be hard. Adjust their expectations of relationships. Like the call of God in your life is deeper than just how long you're friends with somebody, or how long does your friend live, 3 blocks from you. It's a call to love whomever God has brought around you. Yeah. And if you see the call to invest deeply in the people who are around you, then you'll experience, I think, what Sarah and I have experienced being in transient areas, which is we have friends all around the world. And we always have friends right where we are because we've invested deeply in the people around us. And so God's taking care of us. That's a challenge, though. The transients can be a challenge. You feel like you have limited time with people to get to the deep things of the gospel, and maybe you only play a part of their story. But I think that's okay. So I'd say transients is one big factor. There's probably a couple others.
Sure. Sure. Well, Steve, this point in the podcast, should we do some lightning round questions?
I think this is a great time to do some lightning round questions. You ready for that, Tim?
Sure.
It's going to come fast and furious.
Yeah.
Go with like your first gut response, okay? We don't even need explanation if you don't feel like
that's great.
Yeah.
All right. You ready, Tim? This is a big test for you.
All right.
top vacation spot.
The beach, wherever I can get to the beach.
All right. Any particular beach though?
The best one I've ever been to is in Mexico by my in-laws, where they are serving right now. It's Puerto Vallarta,
Nice.
which is an amazing beach.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's where they used to go on the Love Boat. Remember, they go to Puerto Vallarta.
Did they?
Yes.
That's a little before my time.
Well, my wife was a big fan of the Love Boat. My wife's authored like 9 books. She's a deep thinker.
Yes.
But there's like this shallow end to her that's really shallow.
The Love Boat. Yes. All right. We got to keep this to the light.
Yeah, sorry.
Cats or dogs, Tim?
Dogs.
Yes.
And tell everybody the name of your very cool dog.
Lincoln.
Lincoln.
Yeah.
What
He's a collie. We love him.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Last song you remember downloading. This is pretty revealing, actually. This is psychologically revealing question.
Kind of Blue by Miles Davis.
Oh.
The album.
The album.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not a song, but yeah.
That's still a good answer. Okay. Is your bed made right now?
No.
I like
No judgment.
Yeah. By the way, like our treasurer on our Front Yard Mission board, he's also represents the guy who the colonel that does the make your bed speech.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So
First make your bed was the book, right?
Yeah. So that's fail on that. Okay, good. Best thing about Sarah.
Oh my goodness. How can you make me do that in a lightning round?
Sorry, just one.
Sarah is the most caring, servant-hearted person that I've ever known.
Great answer. Best thing about living in Manhattan?
Man, everything right now. It's just we love being able to walk everywhere and be around people. We love people, and so being right here in the center of where there are so many people has been really fantastic.
Awesome.
One thing that annoys you.
Just in general.
Yeah.
Oh, you got me. I don't know. I don't know. I'm a little. It annoys me when I can't get to everything on my to-do list. I'll say that. Okay. I get like anxious and annoyed. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. All right. I think I can see where this question is going. Greatest frontman of a band that you've been a part of?
Oh, it has to be Jonathan Weibel.
Oh, I wasn't expecting that.
Wow. It'd be really funny if you had been in one other band with one other frontman and you chose that one.
Tim, how long?
Well, I have been in one other band, and I'm not going to tell you if that frontman was awesome or terrible, but Jonathan's definitely been the best.
Yeah, Tim and I played in a band together for, 5 or 6 years or something, right?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
Made a few albums, three records.
That would... and I think I heard some of those stories over dinner. I think that could almost be another bonus episode in itself.
Yeah,
it's just stories from the band days.
I mean, we were kind of regional Christian celebrities, which is the lowest form of celebrity that you can be.
I think sometimes just that Hershey Ravi Zacharias concert story needs to be told.
That's a funny story. Yeah.
That's a good one.
Favorite movie franchise.
I'm partial to. I don't think any movies ever made me feel the way the original Lord of the Rings made me feel watching that. So I'll say Lord of the Rings.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Epic.
And
Epic
Steve's going to ask this question, but we ask every person on our podcast this question.
Okay. The question is sloppy wet kiss or unforeseen kiss, and I always feel compelled to clarify we're talking about the song lyric, not the actual kissing.
Look, I understand why people change sloppy wet kiss, but I think you leave the artistic license of the original songwriter. And who wants an unforeseen kiss either? That's a little weird.
I know. I think that's worse. Like you're not ready for it and someone just kisses you. That's never happened to me, but I imagine it's not a good
sloppy
feeling.
Wet kiss does not get me in a worshipful frame of mind, guys.
Yeah.
You're both
I think
wrong.
Well, I think you need to do a little soul searching, Steve. All right, Tim, last question. And we almost always ask this question. What's your go-to karaoke song?
I find a way to get out of karaoke every single time. So that's my answer.
I would say though, Tim, like being in a band with you for several years, you're kind of you wrote an album, you sang lead on it, and it was a great album. But you're kind of an underrated singer. Like, and you're a really great backup singer. But you have what?
That's my sweet spot. Yeah,
like.
Yeah, but okay, so you have to do a karaoke song.
Yes.
I mean, like what would you pick?
I just saw this guy on American Idol, and he did it was America's Got Talent, and he did Tequila. So he just sits there while it goes dun, 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 dun. So he sits there for like 3 minutes, and then he just goes
Tequila.
That would be me.
I think you're selling yourself short there.
That's right.
I was thinking piano. You should do Piano Man. I mean,
oh yeah, that would be a good one too.
Piano player,
but you need to be at a piano to do that, right?
Especially up here. I mean, Billy Joel is from Queens, and
there you go.
Hey, last couple things. But how can our listeners support City Light in Manhattan? How can they support you guys?
Yeah, the simplest way is go to citylightnewyork.com. City Light, LIGHT, newyork.com, and just sign up for our newsletter. So you can reply directly to get in touch with me to any emails you get from us, and you can give, and that'll help you pray for us. If the Lord would call you to New York, or you know someone in New York, use that newsletter, get in touch with us, and let us know. Network us to people. We've had people in our living room sharing the gospel with them because people randomly across the country knew someone in New York and connected us. So that's how people can support us.
Awesome,
love it. Tim, any last words of encouragement for people listening to this and thinking about their own front yard mission as you're living that out in the Upper West Side?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that we fight everywhere we go when we're talking to people about being missionaries is their whole mindset of how they see the world around them, how they see the decisions that they have to make. Prioritize mission and calling in what God is doing in your life, and He will take care. Seek first the kingdom of God. He will give all those other things you need to you. You don't need to pursue the house, the suburban dream. Just pursue the mission of Christ, and He will add to you. And just to make the right priorities when you're making decisions in your life.
This is what being a disciple means. What you guys are doing, following Jesus at any cost, living in faith, and God provides. God always provides for us when we live in faith. We've never seen the faithful be forgotten. And so, Tim, thanks for you and Sarah and your girls being a example of what it means to live by faith and to follow Jesus radically. Thanks, man. Loved having you, and we're proud of you.
Yeah, it's been great.
Yeah,
thanks, you guys.
Tim. Blessings on you, your family, and your team.
Yeah, thank you. Likewise.
All right. Well, thanks, Scott. Thanks, everyone, for listening. And we'll look forward to seeing you next time on the Front Yard Mission Podcast.
See ya.
Go to Amazon.com and pick up your copy of our book, Front Yard Mission: How to Start a Love God, Love Neighbor movement in your neighborhood. If you're interested in learning more about Front Yard Mission, find us at frontyardmission.com or join our Facebook or Instagram community where you can find tips, stories, and encouragement to help you with your front yard mission. The Front Yard Mission podcast is sponsored by The Flower Box, produced by Nick Baumhart, and hosted by Steve Lutz and Jonathan Weibel. Our theme music, How to Heal a City, was written by Jonathan Weibel. I'm Trisha Brock. See you next time.